A 15-month-old lacks the hardware for impulse control. If you treat a toddler like a preschooler or a preschooler like a baby, the guardrails fail. Have you ever tried to use a brilliant parenting script you saw online only to have it completely backfire? You try to calmly say, "I see you're feeling frustrated, but we don't throw toys," to your 14-month-old, and they just stare blankly at you and haul another block on your head. Or you try to give a simple physical redirection to your 5-year-old, and they turn into a courtroom lawyer, debating you until you finally snap and yell. Here's the secret nobody tells you. A perfect boundary delivered at the wrong developmental age is completely useless. Children's brains change drastically between infancy and school age. If you don't adjust your boundaries to match their brain development, you will find yourself stuck in a loop of endless repeating, frustration, and burnout. To my new viewers here, welcome. And to my returning viewers, thank you so much for coming back. I am Dr. Ode from Little Actions. This is your safe space for honest conversations about child health, mental well-being, and specific support for Black and ethnic minority families. Today, we are breaking down the exact timeline for setting boundaries from age 1 all the way to ages 6 and up. We will look at what their brains can actually handle and the exact tools you need to use at each stage to guard your energy. So let's dive in. The foundation. Why does age matter? When we talk about building boundaries that stick, we always look at it through one core philosophy. Change doesn't happen with one big lecture. It happens when you start your little actions. It's the daily, small, consistent habits that create a peaceful home. But to start these actions effectively, you have to know what kind of building blocks your child has. A 15-month-old lacks the hardware for impulse control. A 4-year-old has the hardware for logic, but is testing their independence. If you treat a toddler like a preschooler or a preschooler like a baby, the guardrails fail. Now let's look at the 3 major stages of boundary setting so you know exactly what to do right now. Stage 1, the baby-toddler transition. This is between ages 12 and 18 months. Let's start at the beginning, from about 12 to 18 months. Now, this is the exact moment children begin to realize they are separate from you and they start exploring their world. But here is the developmental reality. At this age, the prefrontal cortex, which is the part of the brain responsible for logic and impulse control, is practically offline. They do not have the physical ability to stop themselves from doing something forbidden, even if they know the rule. So at this stage, trying to reason, lecture, or explain why a boundary exists is a waste of your breath. Now, the tool to use here is physical redirection and short scripts. Here is how it works. Your boundary at this age is almost entirely physical. You must use your body to hold the limit, paired with 3 or 4 words maximum. Let's look at a common scenario. The child is repeatedly banging a heavy toy against the glass television screen. Instead of saying, "Stop doing that, you're going to break the TV. I've told you 3 times already." Do this. Walk over calmly to them. Place your hands over the toy to stop the motion. Look at them in the eyes and say, "Not for hitting. Let's hit on the drum instead." Then physically move them to a new spot. You aren't angry, you're just a solid, immovable person. You are stacking the action of showing them that a physical boundary is completely unshakable. Now, before we move into the peak toddler years, if you're finding this age-based breakdown helpful, take a quick second to hit that subscribe button. Our whole mission on this channel is to help you swap parenting burnout for practical, everyday strategies that actually work. By subscribing, you won't miss our next video, and it helps our community grow. Now let's jump into stage 2. Stage 2 is the peak toddler years between ages 2 and 3. This is the era of massive emotional blowouts. Developmentally, their language is exploding and they understand your rules perfectly. The catch here is their emotional brain still completely hijacks their logical brain. They want independence, but they get entirely overwhelmed by the weight of their choices. This is the prime era where boundaries face the ultimate test, the extinction burst I talked about in my last video. They will scream louder, push harder, just to see if your boundary will bend under pressure. The tool to use at this age is binary choices and emotional validation. Binary means 2 choices. So here is how it works. You give them control over how the boundary happens, but not if it happens. And you allow them to be furious about it. Let's look at the classic pack meltdown. It's time to leave the pack, and they drop to the floor like a sack of potatoes. Instead of yelling and saying, "If you don't get up right now, we are never coming back to this pack again." Try this action instead. Get down to their level and say, "It's time to go. You can walk to the car yourself, or I can carry you. You choose." If they continue to scream, you validate the feeling while initiating the action and say, "I see you're really mad that we have to leave the park, and it's okay to feel sad. But it's time to go." Then calmly pick them up and walk or carry them if it is safe to do so. By doing this, you teach them that their big emotions are completely safe with you, but those emotions will never alter the boundaries. Stage 3, the preschool age and the early school age. So this is between ages 4 to 6 years and upwards. By this stage, children are absolute masters of negotiation. They understand time, they understand logic, and they will try to debate your boundaries like a high-priced defense attorney. Because their impulse control is starting to mature, they are fully capable of forward thinking. This means boundaries no longer need to be purely reactive. You can set them up for success before the boundary is even crossed. The tool to use for them is collaborative boundaries plus logical and natural consequences. Here's how it works. State the boundary ahead of time. Tie it directly to a natural consequence and put the responsibility squarely on their shoulders. Let's look at a scenario that drives every parent crazy. Your child is whining or using a high-pitched baby voice to get what they want. They are fully capable of speaking clearly, but they revert to whining when they want a snack, a toy, or your attention. The trap we fall into is saying, "Stop whining, talk like a big kid, or you're getting nothing." Or worse, give in just to make the sound stop. Instead, hold this boundary clear, and you can say this: "My ears don't work when you use that voice, and I can't understand what you need. When you are ready to use your strong, clear voice, let me know, and I am ready to listen. And I'm going to finish holding this laundry until you are ready." Then turn your attention away completely until they shift their voice tone. The very second they speak clearly, reward it immediately and say, "Thank you for using your clear voice. yes, you can have a snack. You are stacking the action of teaching them that clear communication works, but whining gets no results. When you look at parenting through this lens, the weight drops off your shoulder. You stop expecting a 1-year-old to listen to logic, and you stop letting a 5-year-old manipulate you with endless debates. You meet them exactly where their brain is. Hold the line with love and stack those little actions day by day. If this breakdown gave you a bit of clarity for the specific age group you're parenting right now, please hit that subscribe button. It tells the algorithm that this practical, real-world advice is worth sharing with other families. And if you want to keep building a solid foundation for your family, hit that subscribe button. We drop fresh evidence-based parenting strategies right here every single week. Take a deep breath. Keep stacking your little actions, and I'll see you in the next video.